I would love to like know your thoughts on where trap culture is and where you think it's going, and if it's going to come back as strong as it was before.
It's funny, I actually had this conversation with Liney.
Oh my God, I was literally about to say Liney is somebody who I had him on my radio show for Dash Radio, and like he's someone like there are guys like that who are really starting to come up and push that boundary, but it's a risk because it's hard, because it's this uncharted territory again.
Yeah, I'd like to. So this is basically what I said to him in a nutshell is that. Truthfully, a lot of the reason why trap had such an appeal is because there were so many people from the outside involved. You know, we had like it was insane when A-Track was doing Fool's Gold, and Fool's Gold. Well, he still does Fool's Gold, but it's mostly in the house lane right now.
Yeah.
But when he was doing it, and it was very much in the hip hop trap lane, he had all types of hip hop artists, you know, on his shows. Same thing with Matt Decent. Like it was just a big melting pot. And I felt like that the outside influence is really what, because again, we're talking about the bridge here, where, you know, you can't create a bridge from one side. You have to have both sides coming to meet together. And I feel like right now, and like you said a couple years ago when it just started to disappear, is when that hip hop side kind of just said, this is not cool anymore, or there's no appeal currently, and hip hop artists and people on this side are kind of just back to doing their own thing. And I talked to Bilo about this as well, saying like, I think it's not fully our responsibility, but somebody on this side has to go back into the way A-Track did, the way Diplo did, the way Floss did, and the way that a lot of these bigger guys went onto this side and really kind of brought them to say,
hey guys,
like,
come on this side.
Like, this shit is lit. This shit is lit. And it's not like they don't like it. It's just there's got to be context. And I feel like the context isn't really being, it's not as apparent right now. And I think, and I was telling Liney, so I was like, dude, like, I feel like the next time we have this big trap wave like it was back in, you know, 14, 15, 16, is when it's going to be either like a big label, like whether it's like Universal, Warner, or whatever. Somebody's going to hire one of these trap heads. Like, let's just say, just for example, Liney, just as an example. Let's say Liney just becomes head A&R of electronic music or electronic trap. He has an ear for all the hottest motherfuckers right now. Yeah. So he's going to be able to be like, okay, this guy, we're gonna get him to work with this rapper because it makes sense. We're gonna get this person to work. So it's
got to be on a big label. It can't be an EDM label.
Exactly, because they're really the ones that kind of pull the strings and make these things happen. And it's unfortunate, but that's just from what I've observed, and where A-Track, he had the respect. I mean, because he DJ for Kanye, he DJed for all types of hip hop artists, so he had the inside on this. And same thing with Diplo, like doing, you know, stuff with MIA and like doing things with hip hop artists. Like he did the Look at Me Now with Chris Brown and Busta. Like, so he had a place, and he was signed to a major record label. Yeah. You know, there's plays on this side where they just need to feel like that it's worth putting their energy into. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's just how it is. And you kind of have to like infiltrate in a way. You have to be like, hey, like,
it's completely an infiltration. Because I speak to people who like, they love fucking trap music, and they're just like, you know, when a trap show comes through, it's like once a quarter now, and it's like, you know, and it's like this the talent buyer doesn't know how it's going to do necessarily. They're taking a risk on somebody that they personally are a fan of, and
shit, I'm one of them.
No, literally. And it's like, I kind of wait from the sidelines, and people are just kind of have their eyes open, and they're like, okay, when's this going to happen? When is this going to drop again?
It's going to take both sides. Yeah. And that's just truthfully, that's just how it is for like where I see it, because that's just where it was before.
And for you, like working so close in the hip hop community beforehand, would you say that the hip hop industry is just very much so different than it was then, and that could be a reason for it?
Yes and no. I think the industry is different on this side as well, because of just, you know, streaming and just like how you get your music discovered, just how music is just generally consumed. I think all across the board is very different. But I think
so category.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is gonna eventually subside because I think it just comes with the generation. I think the generation is eventually gonna kind of grow up and find their own way of consuming music. It's not gonna just be spoon fed to them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's already happening. I feel like music has gotten a lot more experimental.
Yes.
For sure. Like, you know, just with hyperpop and all this other stuff that's going on. And it's gonna take time, and I think that trap might sound a little different than when it, like, we're not gonna sit here and say like, oh, it's gonna be right sounding exactly like how it did in 2014.
No.
But I think it goes back to like the whole bigger picture of just both cultures coming together and us being back into shows and festivals where it's literally half trap, half electronic, and like half hip hop, and like acts where they don't have to, like, you know, they don't have to really cater so much. They're just doing their thing because it just, there's a market for it. You know, I guarantee you listen to hip hop artists and EDM artists perfectly fine without being like, you know, I only like one thing. Like, no, like, and if there are people that like one thing, they're over there.
Yes.
But I feel like there is very much a market, but I think that there's just needs a
huge market.
I think it just needs to make sense from again the hip hop end and from that industry, just so that they feel like it's, I guess, worth their time, or that they feel like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of artists out there that are like, I love that EDM shit, like I love that shit, I love it, but I'm like, well, you know, come on over here.
Take the risk,
you know?
yeah.
So I think that's the long answer of like how I feel like trap is going to make its return is when the other side is willing to collaborate a little more.
Yes,
you know?
and I'm a firm believer that cycles repeat itself. History repeats itself eventually.